up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of, what is this? It's something. We'll give it another name later. And as always, this podcast, which will now be called General Chat, because I can't think of nothing else. This podcast and others in the Jazzy Groove Rainy Day podcast family are brought to you in the power of 5. And we'll get into a little bit later on in the video. But now, on with it. There's been a ton of things rolling around in my mind as of late. And today, as I was in the car lane, waiting to pick up my daughter, it hit. Full context. I was in the car lane, as you normally would do, listening to tunes on the radio, and a song called "You May Be Gone" by Paul Hardcastle was being played, and I lost it. Because the song is about a man losing his mother. And you may be gone, but you'll never be forgotten. I didn't bawl. I didn't cry my eyes out. I didn't almost crash the car with grief. No. But it did take me back. And it affected me in ways I didn't think was possible. But then I got to thinking about my parents and the way my brothers and sister and I grew up. And speaking for myself, my mother and father meant everything to me. I worshiped my father, and I was a mother's boy. Two things can be the same at the exact same time. I worshiped my father, and I was a mother's boy, which meant I wasn't getting out of pocket with either of my parents for any reason. They said jump. I got to jump. It didn't even ask how high it was. I just started jumping. Is this high enough? Because I really, really loved my parents. And sitting in that car lane this afternoon, listening to that song, it took me way back. And the words hit a little differently this time. Nothing I could do would bring either one of them back. Lord knows I would if I could. I would in a heartbeat. If I thought for a minute, for a second, that I could enact a sequence of events that would bring them back just for an hour, I'd do it. Because I would want them to meet the family they never did. Well, my father met my wife. My mother didn't. And neither one of them met their grandchildren. And it hurts. But let's table that for a second because I want to talk about my mom. And everything that I did was to please her and my father. Did I fail? Oh, yeah. I failed quite a few times. But they didn't give up on me. And that was a testament to how much they loved me. They never gave up on me. And as a result of their love for me, I will give up on mine. Sometimes they drive me crazy. But more times than not, they make me very proud. They make me proud so I can say unapologetically, if that's such a word, if not, excuse me, but unapologetically, that's my kids. There go my heart and soul. Everything I do now is for them. Every podcast that I create, every song that I write, every production that I partake, is for them. It's for them. They are the reason why I do what I do. So that if they wish to step into the family business, as they get older, it's there. If not, they don't have to. But it's there. Now, what does that have to do with your parents? As I stated earlier, they loved me unconditionally. And we'll call that agape love. Because that is the definition of agape. Unconditional. And every parent worth their salt will have that kind of love for their children. They can make you furious. They can make you want to call them every name but their own. You could go to bed worrying uncontrollably about how it's going to turn out for them. But then you get up and do the same thing all over again. Why? Because you love them. You want the best for them. You will do what has to be done, whatever that is. And in my case, as long as it's legal, I'll do what I can for my children. I will move what has to be moved. I will lift what has to be lifted. I will do what I have to do. Just to make their lives that much easier, just a little bit easier. And so, I do for them what my parents did for me. And what my mother did for me is immeasurable. Because my father, like my mother, were products of single parent households. And they were the only children in the house. And they grew up differently to the point where my father, he loved the mess out of us. But he couldn't show it the way I think it should have been shown. And I'll say I think, because I can't tell you what the man thought, because I'm not the man, and unfortunately, he's not here to speak for us, for himself anymore. But he did the best he could do with the tools he was given. He never had anyone growing up tell him that they loved him. My grandmother didn't do that. And I never knew my grandmother or grandfather on my mother's side. My mother came to this country from what was then British Guyana at 4 years old. She went up to Brooklyn. And she lived in Brooklyn. And then, as fate would have it, one day, my father went to a party in New York. And notice my mother. She came with another guy. And she left with him. And thus began the odyssey of Mr. and Mrs. Sims. My father loved my mother. My mother loved my father. And they both loved us. There were things that I've done, both before and after her passing, that I wish I could take back for different reasons. One of the greatest what ifs that I've had was, what if I hadn't broken up with my first love? And I broke up with her because of my mother. We were devout Jehovah's Witnesses back then, and my mother didn't think that me dating someone that was outside the truth would sit very well. So, dutiful son, broke it off. Broke that girl's heart. We tried again a little bit later, but it just fizzled. We never really gave it a chance. And I can't blame her for that. Did it before, what's to say I wouldn't do it again? And I wish her nothing but the best. I hope her life has been happy and healthy and fruitful, and I hope it continues to do so into the future. I wish that for every girl that I've had an encounter with. As King Richards is wont to say, shout out to you, King Richards, live your movie. I hope they've all lived their movie. I hope the years have been kind to them. I hope that they've gotten everything out of life that they've wanted. I'm sorry if I've hurt any of them. And I wish I could take it back. Because if I could, I would. But it is what it is. So I've done that. I've been there. I've worn that t-shirt. I've worn it out. But just before my mother died, she introduced me to the concept of agape love. They did songs about it back in the early 80s. Donna Summer had a song called Agape Love. And it is the most pure and most complete type of love that you could have for another person. Agape love is the love you feel even when you know that either your spouse or your family member have done wrong. You know it. And you hate that they've done wrong. But it doesn't diminish your love you have for them. That is agape love. That's how my mother loved me and my brothers and sisters. That's how she loved her siblings. That's how she loved her children. Agape. And as I said before, there's no more pure and all-encompassing type of love anywhere. My mom was the life and soul of the party. Anywhere she went, she had nothing more than a kind word and a warm smile. But we were disciplined when we needed to be. But the difference between our discipline and discipline from others is that you were told twice what not to do. And as you were getting spanked, before you got spanked, she again stressed, you did this. Why did you do this? And then we were spanked. And I can tell you, I never did it again after that. Ever. Because I was afraid of the consequences. And there's that word again. Consequences. I was afraid of what was going to happen to me if I was caught. And it drives me to this day. I'm not even an eighth of as bad as I could be. Because I don't want to know what could happen if I'm caught. I don't want to know. At all. I haven't the desire or the inkling to find out. So I don't. And it pains me to say this because I understand that times have changed. I understand that parenting has changed with the times. But I honestly think that more and more people should get a beating. Simply because it'll stop most of this nonsense in its tracks. Will it stop everything? No. Children are little people. And people are going to do what people are going to do. You can tell somebody something till they're blue in the face. Or excuse me, you can tell someone something till you're blue in the face. If they got it in their head they're going to do it, they're going to do it. You can try to persuade them. You can incentivize it. You can coax it. You can bribe it. But if it's there, it's there. And then you deal with the consequences. It is what it is. It's not kind. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not just. It just is. And I, for the life of me, can't understand. Actually, no. Let me change that. I was originally going to say I can't understand why things are the way they are, but I do understand it. And I think I've always known. Always. People are people. And people are going to people. What do I mean by that? A person is going to do what they're going to do. They are the product of their decisions, for good or bad, malignant or benign, or indifferent. They're going to do what they do. And there really is no other way to look at it. As I said before, I can tell you something till I turn blue in the face, and that's going to be really interesting because I'm rather dark. But I can tell you something ad nauseum. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do the other thing. Do this. Do that. Try this. Try that. Don't try this. Don't try that. But if you got it in your head, if you have decided, I'm going to try that, there it is. You're going to try it. You're going to try it, come hell or high water, you're going to see it through. Now, more times than not, you have some sort of hiccup along the way. Something will happen that may derail you. Sometimes it'll make you crash and burn. I told you. I tried to warn you. I tried to tell you. But you had to figure it out for yourself. And I've always said in the past that I wish that you listened so that you wouldn't have had to find out the lessons the hard way. But yes, you do. You do have to learn it the hard way. Because you don't want to listen to somebody. You don't want to listen to them because they might be right. They might be right, and it could make your life just a bit easier to go the route they suggested. And we can't have that. No. We're not going to go that way because it's too easy to go that way. We want to be forged in fire. even though there's somebody off to the side with a towel that can put out some of that fire and make your journey a little bit easier. No. Can't do it. Nope, 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 no. So you know. And I know I've gotten off track a little bit. But that's because up to this point, I really don't know how to convey my feelings about my mother. Because I grieved when my father died. I grieved. I became angry. I became resentful. All those negative emotions. Didn't show it. But they were there. But my mother died August 20th, 1982. And I'll never, ever forget that day. We were outside playing baseball in the street. And my mother came out the house and she told us, I'm going to the doctor. I'll be back later. And she got into the cab and she left. And that should have told me something. Because we had a car. We had 2 cars. She could have drove herself. Never crossed my mind. Bye, Mom. Okay, talk to you later, Mom. Bye. Went back to play. And that was in the early afternoon. Late afternoon came, no Mom. Nighttime came, no Mom. Where's Mom? Well, maybe she went to work afterwards. Okay. Because she's working that night. The next morning, the doorbell rang. And I was up, so I got up. And I went down to the door and answered the door, opened the door, and there were 2 police officers. And they said, I hate to tell you this, but your mother died last night. I remember turning around and running inside. And finding my father said, Dad, Mom died. And that was the only time I ever saw my father cry. And it never dawned on me about anything like that because the love of his life was dead. He sat in the same place my mother would sit at the dinner table, and he cried. Good 10, 15 minutes. And just like that, my life changed. Because before that, I was a mama's boy. Wanted to be like my dad when I grew up. Didn't want to disappoint my mother. Wanted to be a bus driver like my father. Wanted to get good grades for my mother. I wanted to be the best version of myself for my parents. And just like that, like a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet snap, my life changed. I had the same dream every night for like a month and a half. Didn't like going to sleep because every time I went to sleep, we'd be downstairs and the doorbell would ring. And I'd go to answer it. It was Mom. I'd be like, Mom, it's you. Oh my God, we're so happy to see her. And she'd come inside and we'd laugh and we'd joke and we'd reminisce and all that good stuff. And then she'd turn around and say, I have to go now. And I remember I'd say, but you just got here. There's so much I want to tell you. There's so much that I haven't told you that I want to tell you. I never told you I loved you. And she'd say, I know, but I have to go now. And she'd leave. And everybody else would just sit there dumbfounded. And I had the same dream every night for about between 30 and 45 days. I didn't like the nighttime. I didn't like going to sleep because I knew the dream I was going to have. And I don't care what I was thinking about, that's the dream that was stuck in my head. But eventually, the pain subsided. But it never completely went away. Which is why this afternoon, I'm waiting for my daughter to come out of school. I heard the song, heard the lyrics, and just like that, I was thinking about my mom again. I could tell you a lot about my mom. I could tell you that she was a fierce proponent of being an American. I remember watching the news with my mom, and you'd have people screaming about black power, this, that, and the other thing, and my mother would say, if you don't like it, leave. That's like, yeah, Mom, yeah. And I never thought about it till now. And she was right. No one's got a gun to anybody's head forcing you to stay. If you don't like it, get your money up, make plans, and depart. I want to do that. I want to do that. And I will. If my friends in England will have me. There are so many things swirling around in my mind. I think about my father probably a little bit more because he was with us longer. He got to meet his future daughter-in-law and was able to spend some time with her. I got to see that man and hear him say, I'm proud of you. I heard that he told my soon-to-be wife, girlfriend slash girlfriend at the time, that she was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because he could see how happy she made me. And I wish my mother could have seen it. I wish that she made it to the point where she could see how happy she made me, even though I know that couldn't have happened. Because if my mother doesn't die, we never leave New York. And I don't meet the people that I met in New Jersey that brought about the circumstances that I met my wife in. I don't think things would have turned out the way they were if she was alive. I don't think I'd have my children. I don't think I'd have my wife. And the way things are going, I don't even know if I'd be married. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't be living here in Atlanta. So, I'm going to thank her for helping me become the man that I am today. And I'm going to wish that she could have known me as I am now. I wish she should have known me in my 20s. Forget about now. I wish she could have known me in 1985. After she died, I was just going into my senior year in high school. And it was a blur. Honestly, I went to school and I came home and I couldn't tell you anything that happened in between. Couldn't tell you. Don't know. All I know is that I went to school and I came home. Couldn't be bothered going to class. So I spent every moment that I could in the music room. Music Resource Center is what they called it back then in high school. I spent all my time there. And I never told anyone anything. Now, looking back on it, it could have gone that way for two reasons. Either they weren't paying me much attention because I wasn't a troublemaker. I kept to myself. Myself and a group of friends that became my bandmates. Either that or they did know but wouldn't say. Now, most of my classmates, actually, all of my classmates, never said anything. And much later, one of them, in a Facebook post, or a Facebook message, I should say, got to me and apologized. And I said, why are you apologizing? She said, because I just found out about your mother, and I didn't know. And I said, you weren't supposed to know. She said, yeah, but I should have. And that choked me up a little bit. Because for her to say that meant that she thought enough of our friendship to feel a certain way when she found out something that wasn't pleasant about her friend. Now, I've always said that friends can be counted on one hand, and more than likely you'd have fingers left over. And I had tons of acquaintances in high school. People are like, what's up? How you doing? Take care. Talk to you later. Peace out. Tons of acquaintances. Very, very few friends. As a matter of fact, in my high school years, I had 2 people I would consider friends. My brother from another mother, Cecil Sanchez, and Douglas Covington. And I hope I'm wrong, but I think Douglas is no longer with us. I think he died of cancer some years ago. So the Treacherous Three is now the dynamic duo. And I think back, and you have to excuse me because my thoughts are all over the place right now. But I think back to those times. I think back to the songs we played, the music we made, the music we wrote. I think about how my mother was a guiding force in my life. I remember, could have been more than 10, 11 years old. I had my first group. I can't even remember what we called ourselves. We had a song called Babe. And it was maybe like 6 or 7. It was just me on bongos, my friend Carl on guitar, and some girl singers. And I remember doing a song, and everybody liked it. We played it for different people when they liked it and whatever. And we were working on another song. And my mother was like, there's something to do with love. And she's like, what do you know about this? You shouldn't sing about that. And I said, what should we sing about? Dinosaurs? She's like, well, if that's what you know. Like, nobody wants to hear that. My thoughts are all over the place right now. And all this talk about what was, it gets you. And I've told you this because the main focus of the story, the main thing I'm trying to get across is hold on tight to your loved ones. Because you never know when you won't see them again. You never know when the time you speak to them and the time you part will be the last time. And I don't say these things to be a Debbie Downer. I really don't. I tell you these things because I hope that somewhere in this disjointed convolution of words that I've just gone through, that you take something away with you. Hold on tight to those you love. Don't be ashamed to say I love you. Don't be afraid to tell them how you feel. Don't be afraid to show them agape love. Because you never know when your time will be up. Now, to take a quote from the late, great Frankie Crocker, he said, I hope you all live to be 100 and me 100 minus a day, so I'll never know the good people like you passed away. And I truly feel that. And with that, it's time to say farewell. Thank you for allowing me to let you guys know how I feel. Thank you for allowing me to hopefully impart some wisdom and knowledge into your life. And to talk about the power of 5, well, we're going to focus just on one. Now, the 5 again are like, subscribe, notify, comment, and share. But it all starts with like. And as I've said ad nauseum, more times than I care to think about, a like is free. Doesn't cost you anything. It costs you absolutely, positively, emphatically nothing to take a second out of your day and to click the thumbs up icon. Doesn't cost you anything. The other things you can do will only build on the engagement and help the YouTube algorithm to more properly identify our content as something worth forwarding to other people, and hopefully it'll help organically grow the channel. Speaking of which, I also want to let you all know that the gaming part of Groove TV now has its own channel called Groove Gaming. And on that I'll be playing things like I'll be playing Jurassic Park Evolution 2, The Sims, NHRA Racing, Monster Truck, all kinds of things that I like playing. They'll live there. So watch over there and subscribe and like all that good stuff there and help that channel grow. And again, thank you all for coming. Thanks for listening. And until the next, peace.